So let me share with you the main project of our kit for September of 2024. This is a gorgeous book. It's not real thick. It's more of a mini folio or mini album and a folio combined. And what I'm going to do is open this up and share with you some of the details. It has one main spine piece here. This would be your left side. This would be your right side. And this flips up, this flips down, so that you can do some journaling in there. There's a magnet under here and a magnet right here so that it will stay shut. It opens this way, and this way to give you plenty of room for photos or journaling, keepsakes, whatever you'd like to put in there. Has a couple of tags to go in our pocket. Then on the right side, this flips up like this, and this goes down. This opens this way and like this. It's a very simplistic design. For our first one, I thought it would not be as challenging as most of the books, and that way you would have an easy time. Plus, behind this is a pocket, and behind this side is a pocket. So when we construct the cover, we're going to add the pocket before we add the inside. Now, let's get started making the cover for this. All right, this is the packet we're going to start with. It's packet number 1, video 1. I'm going to pull out all my pieces and set those to the side. Now, you'll notice on mine, I have put measurements. That's because this is my demo kit. You won't necessarily find the measurements on yours, so have no fear. On the linen side, there shouldn't be any writing, but on the back side, you'll find a sticker for identification and perhaps the measurements. I did that deliberately so that in case I made a mistake, you guys could help me catch that. Now, let's see. These are our basic pieces. Here's what we're going to start with. We're going to have the front cover, the spine, and the back cover. This is chipboard pre-cut to 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. It's a nice heavyweight chipboard. It's very sturdy. We're going to cover both of these, cover this, and then attach it all together. So let's start with covering the first one here. I'm going to take number 1, my chipboard, and I'm going to take number 4, my front cover black linen, and I'm going to put my chipboard in the middle of my linen like this because I'm going to actually cover this piece. Now, to do that, if you have spacers and want to use a scoreboard, you can do that. I'm going to make it really easy. I'm just going to simply attach it down to this. In fact, I think I'll turn it over this way. And, well, it doesn't really matter, so I guess I'll leave it that way. All right. So we're going to start out by simply scoring this, or by attaching it to this. Now, if you have double stick adhesive, a whole sheet of it, you can cover it and stick it on there. If not, you can use glue, or you can use mounting tape. I prefer to use mounting tape because it holds really well. If you don't have any. So I'm going to take some mounting tape and I'm going to stick it down to it. This is score tape. It's my favorite. It adheres really well, so I like using it. And I generally use both it and the glue. I'm going to do one side on camera, and then we'll let you do the other side off camera. You can repeat the first side again. I'm going to use my glue. I use art glitter glue. You can see my bottle's had a lot of use. I keep refilling it. I keep a pin in it so it won't drive up this ultrafine nozzle. And before I start adding my glue, I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape backing. And because this is our first project, I'm not going to go into details with spacers and trying to get this centered with double stick tape. All of that I'll do on later videos. I'm keeping this one really simple. So I'm going to glue around the edges. Add some glue in the middle. Okay. Then I'm going to lay this on the side that doesn't have the linen weave. The linen I want on the outside. And I'm going to center this the best I can. It gives me about 3/4 of an inch on either side. And an inch on top and bottom. And I'm going to press down firmly with a bone folder. Just like this. Now here's where I'm going to cap my glue. Now, I would recommend you break in the paper a little bit. That means I'm rolling it just ever so slightly to give it a crease on the edge of the chipboard. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to pull this on over and score it down. I say score, I mean burnish. Okay, if you do it gently, then it's not going to crack and make the paper peel a little bit. You want to do it gently, don't force it. And then again, I'm running down the edge to give a good crisp edge. And I'm doing it this way. Now, my next step is I'm going to turn it on its edge, burnish that side, turn it around, do the other side. Good. Now I'm going to make sure it's a good little fit right here. Let me go in a little bit so you can see. Is that better? I'm going to make sure that that stays down good. So I am creasing it really well. Now that I've done that, I'm going to open it up just a little so I can do the same thing on the top and the bottom. I'm going to do this again. Good. Lay it over. Burnish it down like this. The few extra seconds you spend doing this will make your project look so much better. And you can use other papers to make mini albums and folios, but I'll be honest with you, there's nothing better than a good heavyweight linen paper because of the way the fibers are. Very good. Now, what did I forget? I didn't do my edge. Let me do that. Flatten it out so it has a nice tailored look. Good. Now that I've got my edges, okay, you can see I have a line in a square in each corner. I'm going to take my scissors and make a mitered corner. Now, that means I'm going to have to, I can do one of two things. I can cut it straight across like, if I can get it in frame here, I can cut it straight across like this, okay, which a lot of people do. I don't prefer to do it that way. Instead, I cut at an angle. Let me get it up real close here so you can see. I'm going to cut within about 1/8 of an inch of that edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing here so that I've cut a nice angle, but left enough that when these overlap, you don't see cardboard or you don't see the chipboard. Makes a nice point at edge, okay? So I'm going to do that again. If you didn't catch it the first time. Now, less is good because you can always cut more, but you can't very well glue it back. So see, I left a little bit too much there. I did it kind of deliberately for you. I'm going to cut a little bit closer. There we go. Now let's go on to the next one. You're going to do all 4 sides. Just like that. Good job. Sorry, a mosquito lit on my arm. Epic fails. If I had a blooper release, it would be awesome, wouldn't it? Okay, now that I've got that, I love it. That was too funny. Okay, I'm going to take some 1/4 inch Sukwang score tape. Let me find the end of it. And I'm going to tape it like this. I'm going to put 1 piece of tape along the edge there. I'm going to put another piece of tape right here along the edge of my paper. Turn it around and do the other side. I don't know how many of you have made a book before, but if you have, feel free to jump ahead. This might be boring for some of you. I have a tendency to make books ahead of time, the jackets, and then I can put in them whatever I want. So I don't like making the jackets one at a time. I like to make them in multiples. And then I'm going to do this side. Just like that. Very good. All right, next thing, you've got to do this. Take your burnishing tool, burnish all the tape. You're saying, but it sticks. Yeah, it does, but this makes sure that it's a permanent fit. So it's not going to be forgiving, not like just plain glue. So I'm going to take my glue now, and we're going to do the sides first, and then we're going to do the top and the bottom. So I'm going to pull my tape off. And I can't just pull one side at a time because it overlaps, okay? So I'm going to pull all my tape off. I still am laughing about that mosquito. Okay, now, starting with the right side, I'm going to take glue and run it down that crease right next to the chipboard. I want it to hold tight there. Then I'm going to add a little bit more right through here. You'll notice I'm not real neat. It's okay. It won't matter. Get all that out of screen. Now I'm going to take this, fold it over, and I'm going to gently burnish it down. If a little glue comes out, I'll wipe it on my hand. I can get it off later. Just like that. And then I want to make sure that I get that edge. If you have a dry rag, you can take off those extra little edges. You can use a wet wipe, but be careful. You don't want to make your paper soggy and wet. Now we're going to flip it around and do the other side. Isn't this simple? It's so easy to do. People get scared of it, but it's just simple as it can be. Don't put too much glue or it'll squeeze out and make a big mess. Okay? You want to keep it just the right amount. You'll get the feel for it. And if you make a mess on the paper, don't worry. We're going to cover it anyway in a minute. Now, I'm going to take my other glue, go down the other edge. Notice I did glue up next to the chipboard again. Okay, now let me go ahead and do this before I forget again. Good, nice edges. And then I'm going to do one last piece here. Now, if you have a, what I call a curly cue, which is nothing more than a little excess paper showing on the edge. See that little hair piece there? I just clip it with my scissors. It won't show. So if you have any little corners that need a little bit of clipping, don't go wild, but you can make them a little neater if they have a little bit of a hair. There we go. We're all done. Now let's flip that over. Look how nice and smooth our cover is. Isn't that great? So we've got one side done. If you'll go ahead, and I'm going to turn the camera off for a minute and allow you a second to go ahead and do the other side exactly like we did with this one. You're going to take number 2, lay it inside number 5, and do the same thing. I'll see you back in a minute. All right, I've got my front and my back cover done now. I'm going to do my spine. So you need number 6. I'm going to lay it down. You're going to need your chipboard number 3. Okay, we're going to center it in there just like we did for our covers. So we're going to turn it, we're going to go ahead and put score tape on it. Add a little bit of glue. I went ahead and added the score tape to speed the video up a little bit. A little bit of glue on top of that as well. And then I'm going to center it as best I can in here. Oopsie. See, it's not as forgiving with that tape on there. This needs to be kind of centered, so I'm very happy with that. Turn that over. Score that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of crease around that a little bit. I need to know where I'm going to need to bend it, and this will help me. It's hard to see, I know, on camera, the black, but I really like working with black. Can you see that now? After I get that, it's a lot easier then for me to go ahead and bend that over. Just like that. Good. Press it down. Then I'm going to do the opposite side. Bend it over gently. Press it down. Now I'm going to use the burnishing tool and do the same thing. I'm going to press it down. Just like that. On both sides. Now, if you watch me, it's going to be a little different here. What I'm going to do now is bend it the other direction just a little bit with my fingers, not with the burnishing tool, just with my fingers. I want a nice flexible bend there without it tearing. So you noticed I did it with my fingers. I flipped it over and did it inside out using my thumbnails to kind of give it a little bit of a crease there and bending it back and forth a time or two. This is the hinge of our book, so we want it to have a lot of flexibility, okay? So that looks pretty good to me. Make sure I burnished both sides. I don't think I did this one, so I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, now I'm going to do my top and bottom, same as I did on my cover. Now I don't need to bend this both directions because we're actually going to secure it down to this just like that in a minute. Bend this over. There's a million and one ways to do this, but this is my easy favorite one. Okay, so you can see I've got, if I can get it in frame, there you go. See there? Now, I'm not going to miter the corners like I did the other one, okay? Instead, I'm going to actually adhere this down to here and here. Watch. So I'm going to take my score tape. I'm going to put just a little bit on here like this. Across that. And then I'm going to put just a little bit across through here. Burnish that down. Peel off the backing. Take my glue, and I want to make sure I get plenty of glue in that crease. I want to make sure I get plenty here, here, and here. I didn't get much tape there, so I'm going to put a little bit. And now I'm going to take this and bend it over and adhere it down. just like that. Okay, so I bent it over and I adhered it straight down, just like that. Again, I'll do the other end. So I'm going to cut a small piece of tape for the bottom of the spine chipboard, just like that. Another one for here. Good. Pull off my backing. And again, make sure I get that. Not worried about that crease so much. I'm more worried about that. Then take this, bend it over, press it down good. Just like that. Now, I don't have to worry if these are exactly correct as far as even. Doesn't matter. Now that I've got this, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut from here to there. Let me see if I can get the lighting to where you can see it a little better. Just like that. See how I did that? And then I'm going to do the other side, same way. Turn it around. I'm going to do this end. And right there. Just a smidgen so that it won't show when I assemble my book. And I may have just cut it a little too much, but that's okay. We're good. There's not an error in paper crafting. There are only creative suggestions that give you a challenge. How you like that? I made that up myself. Okay, now, this spine is going to go like this. See, it goes on the inside of your book so that when this folds over, I'm going to try to show you here. I'll just go ahead and lift it up and show you. See, it will look like this on the outside. Does that make sense? That's the outcome we're looking for. So that means we have to adhere it to the inside of our book. Now, if you want to be an exact, you can use a scoreboard and do the placement with it and so forth. I'm not that exact, especially on a small project like this, but it won't hurt to make sure I have it kind of lined up a little bit. I want everything to be even. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and line that up there and line it up here. Best I can. Good. Now, I'm going to take and put me a piece of this on here. I just needed to do a quick dry scan of that to see if it was going to work okay. Here is a very important tip. Do not put this tape up next to the hinge. It will show. About 1/8 of an inch of that will show. Okay? So I do it further away than that. And I do put tape on both all the way down. Now notice it's scary because it's on the outside of my book. Outside of my spine. See, there's the side you're going to see. But when I get ready to do it, I'm going to flip it over and tape that down to the inside. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side real quick. We're almost through with the outside. This is the hardest and the longest part of the video. Now, I'm going to pull this off. Pull this off. Add a little bit of glue right here on the edges. And right along that tape. And then right here to make it seal pretty good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my front. The way I like to do it is I like to butt them up side by side. pull it back just a hair. Get it nice and straight. Before I press it down, I'm going to check to make sure it looks like it's really good and straight, and it wasn't. So I'm going to move it just a little. Oh, that's much better. See, that's a nice fold right there. And then I'm going to press it down firmly. Once I press it down, there's no moving it. And see, it bends nicely. Okay, now we'll pull this one off. Add the same type of glue, a little bit up here. Don't need any on the edge. And this time, I believe I'm going to be better off now doing it here, where I can see the placement. That looks pretty straight to me, folks. Let me look. Awesome. See, my edges come together. Let me burnish it down. And it's also a lay flat type method. Tamara from Country Craft Creations may be the one that came up with this. I can't remember who to give credit to on this. Her videos are fantastic. Okay, and then I want to wipe off the excess glue. And we've got the book jacket done. Easy peasy, huh? All right, while we're at it, let's go ahead and put the inside there. If you notice, I have number 8 ready for you. That's the inside of the front cover. It's already on there to where it'll fit. And number 9 is going to go on the back. See? They fit perfectly. Now, what we don't have done yet is this piece. This is number 7. Because this piece is going to go before these 2 covers. And it's going to go right over the spine like that. Okay? And because it's going over the spine, it's going to have to crease just like the front and the edges. So we're going to have to take our burnishing tool and score it to get those lines trained a little bit. Okay? And bend those so they'll work nicely. Okay? So you're going to have to teach it. So I like to go ahead and put those creases in there. I do one at least, just like that. Now this is the linen side showing up, okay? That's the linen side, like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach that linen side with glue. Now, we're not putting any pages into the middle of this. Normally, I would take and do a very firm placement of that, but I'm not going to do it. When I say firm placement, I mean a lot of double stick tape and things to make sure it stays down. I'm not worried about that so much on this. So now I'm going to try to eyeball it where my crease is and put this down. Oh, yes. Nice. And then put this down. Now, when I close my book, you can see it's going to stay closed. It's going to lay flat along that. I've got to get it to stay. Maybe I better put some tape on that side over here. All right. Now, this one's going to crease, so I want to take my burnishing tool and gently crease here. Like so. See, this one's doing good now. I better use another piece of tape over here. Like so. This is not a normal way of doing this. I will be honest with you. I kind of messed up a little bit. But you know what? It will work, so we're going to make it work. I'm going to take that off, put my glue on, I'm not going to put glue down in the crease, because if I do that, my book will dry hard. So I want to keep it away from that crease. And then I'll press that down. And then I'm going to make sure that it will still bend. Got to train it. Good, good, good. That's the hardest part, is getting that one little piece on there. See, now it lays flat. I'm going to go back down in here and make sure it's got a nice divot. Make sure I've got that on there good. Excellent. And now my spine is covered. So now I can simply take my front and back pieces and attach those. Notice that everything so far has been the black linen. That's the end of the black linen. We're going to go ahead and attach these two cover pieces now. This is not going to take a lot of tape or anything really elaborate. I'm just going to glue them in place right on there. So I'll hurry and do that. Leave just a little bit of a border around it. Good. Burnish. Do the other side. Excuse me. And like I said, this is going to be the longest video you have to endure. But this is standard to do the front and the back of a book. Okay. There you go. The book is made, and I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes, then come back and make the pockets to go on the inside of that. Now that we've finished the cover, we're going to insert the pockets for the front and for the back. And if you'll notice, this border piece here is inserted before we construct the pocket. So what we're going to do now is take, let me see if I can get this out of frame. We're going to take the pieces that came in our kit here. This is going to be our pocket in a moment, but we're going to hold off on that for just a few moments while we go ahead and add these mats to the front and to the back. Now, this is the front of the book, so I want to add them on the inside. That could be important, don't you think, guys? So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut my decorative paper that will go on top of this. Now, if you look at your cutting guide, it tells you number 10, which is the inside front cover, okay, that the sage cardstock is cut to this, and it must be added before the pocket is added. Well, when you go to printed paper on mat, we need to find some printed paper that's 1/8 inch by 7 3/8. So I'm going to take this sheet here. I'm going to take my trimmer, and I'm going to cut this as soon as I find my glasses, so that I'm going to take this piece, make it the front part of the back part of the book, and then I'm going to take this piece and make it the front part of the book. Okay? So, just so you know why I'm cutting it the way I am. So, the first thing I'm going to do is cut it at 7 3/8, the whole thing. So, let me open this up. Move that out of the way. I want this pretty green border at the bottom, so I'm going to leave it in there, and I'm going to do 7 3/8. Oh no, I may want to trim that just a smidgen. Okay, now do the 7 3/8 here and there. Now I'm doing that specifically because I want this piece left. So now I'm going to trim that to 1 1/8, I believe was the measurement, wasn't it? Yes, 1 1/8. And 1 1/8. The reflection of the lights in here are bad when I'm filming. And this is what's going to go on top of our green mat, okay? So that's going to be on the front. Now, I'm going to take the glue and attach that to that. Just like this. I'm going to have to film Sadie so you guys can see what she is. She's a year-old pup. 80, 85 pounds, all bark. She's a rescue, so we hate to curb her barking too much because that's her nature. She's a guard dog. Okay, so now I've got the front and the back. I'm going to insert those here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down right now. Yeah, I shouldn't have glued on the book, but I'm going to cover that anyway with a pocket in a second. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border of black. Burnish that down. Oh, that's pretty like that, isn't it? Then take this one, glue it down. Now, I told you earlier in the video, we are gluing the back side of these where it has a sticker in the notes. Because I'm doing the video, I'm using the remnants of the pieces that I had left. I ordered I cut the first set of card stock wrong, so I had to order hundreds of dollars more. I've learned my lesson, folks. We don't cut everything. We check it 2 or 3 times before we cut it all. Now that I've got those borders, I'm going to make a pocket. So number 13, I think it's actually 14 and 15 are the pieces that are going to go on here like this. So to make a pocket, what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and I'm going to cut right across that V. Let me show you up close. Where I scored it for you, you're going to see a X, okay, right here and right down through here. I don't know if you can see it on the reflection. Let me get it up close. There it is. There we go. And I'm going to cut right across that. Just like that. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and bend this into the fold of the score line. Just like that. And like that. Wonder how many times I'll say just like that in the video. There was one lady, she had a comment that she made every couple of seconds, and I counted one day how many times she said it. It was in the hundreds. So I'm trying not to repeat myself too terribly much. Now, when I say in the directions to miter it, that means up here where it's going to be showing just a little, I'm going to cut these edges so that they don't show, okay? Then I'm going to take my tape. I'm going to use the double stick tape again. This time I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. I'm going to put it on the flaps like this. Dum da da dum. Like the sound effects. And like this. Voila. Now, you know I put tape down, so I got to burnish it. I know I'm going to forget that at some point, so you guys can laugh at me, but that's okay. Okay, now I'm going to add glue. I'm going to add glue along through here. Add glue along through there. And on the sides. Just like that. Now, the pocket is going to open this way. So I want to make sure I put the bottom of my pocket down here. I don't really care where you place it as long as you get it on there pretty firmly like this. It's going to all be covered up, so don't worry about this. This is the pocket itself that's going to hold our note cards if we wish to do that. Now, go ahead and do the other pocket, exact same way. I'm going to pause from talking and do this one. Speed it up. All right, and then place it here. So it comes about the same place as the other one. Okay, so I missed it entirely. There we go. Score that down. And I've got my 2 pockets added to this. Now, while we're at it, let's go ahead and cover this inside portion of the spine, okay? While we've got nothing there to get in our way. There's a small piece of green. This is the inside piece, number 12. And number 13 is going to be the outside of the spine piece right there. So let me go ahead and add the outside real quick. I'm just going to simply glue that in place. I made these a little long, probably longer than I probably would have preferred had I been looking at it correctly. This one's perfect though. I thought I made them long. It goes just like that. I'm not worried about the writing on there because I'm going to cover it with our decorative paper there. Here, I'm going to go ahead and insert this one, but I'm going to go ahead and cut my decorative paper to fit this before I do that. I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper now to fit this before I do that. And I'm thinking that I want to use perhaps this little rose piece right here. So my printed paper on the should be right at 5/8 by 7 3/8. So let's go ahead and cut that. 5/8 by 7 3/8. Okay, 5/8. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to cut just like that and then turn it to where I can get 5/8 with that pattern of the rose. I kind of like that. Yes, I know I'm butchering a whole piece of paper, but I have plenty of the paper, right? And I'm not sure if I cut that straight, but it's okay. Let's see how long it is on my piece of paper here. See, I like that. I think it looks good. And no, I did not cut it straight. Excellent. I can show you a neat trick. Okay, so when it shifted, it cut it incorrectly. So if I take Post-it note tape like this, I'm going to turn it back around this way because this is the direction in which it's got an angle. It's narrower at the top there, so I'm going to have to cut some of the bottom off to make it work. I'm going to hold it down to 5/8 of an inch. I'm kind of lining it up here so I know where it should be. And the Post-it note tape will hold it in place so that when I cut this, look here, it takes off a sliver that's angled exactly so that this will be perfect when I mount it. Now, I didn't worry about the length because I kind of wanted to see what it would look like. Okay, so I need to trim off a little bit of the length, and I want to do about the same border around it. So I'm going to take a pencil and mark right about here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you fly by the seat of your pants when you can, just for the fun of it. There we go. And then I'm going to glue that down onto the center cover spine piece. And we'll put it right here. That's going to be pretty, guys. Look at this. Oh, yeah. It's working. Because I'm gluing it, I can move it around a little bit because it's not straight. I laid it down without it being straight. Pull it back up. Re-glue. I love art glitter glue. It's so forgiving. My off frame too. Here we go. Now I'm going to put that back in here. You can hear my husband's cooking supper. Excellent. And then we're going to glue this down right here in the middle. Won't that be pretty? Just like that. So we're going to end video 1 here, move on to video 2.